What's up, guys? Erebus here. Time to answer some questions. Specifically, some of your questions. Now, let's jump right into it here. The first question comes from Cactus, who's an excellent streamer, by the way. If you haven't checked him out, check him out because he's really cool. Plays a lot of cool Dark Souls content and does some other stuff too. So Cactus says, challenge accepted. How many hours a week do you game? It depends on how much time I have and what else is going on, but I try to get at least an hour a day, sometimes up to as much as 7 or 8 hours in a single day, depending on what I'm doing. If you could have any power, what would it be? Probably infinite intellect or knowledge, potentially a way to just have money. Are you going to buy Code Vein? I'm not sure yet. I've checked out some of the trailers and whatnot. I'm not totally sold on it, but it looks interesting, so I'll probably wait until it comes out and then check out some reviews and maybe somebody else, the start of somebody else's playthrough, and then I'll make a decision from there. Have you checked out Salt and Sanctuary yet? If not, what the fuck, man? I haven't played it. I've seen it. I've seen trailers and stuff, and I know a lot of Souls folks have gotten quite into it. I haven't yet. I've been considering it. One of the things I'm thinking is I might want to do that for the channel. So I haven't decided yet if I want to make that the next stream game when I finish God of War, or if I want to do it as an LP or something like that. But I will play it at some juncture for sure. Jack1775 Gaming, who also has a great channel, by the way. Lots of delicious Souls content, among other things. Jack asks, how long have you been playing the DS franchise, buddy? Well, that's a good question. My first Soulsborne game, my first FromSoft game was Bloodborne, which I bought at release, played for an hour, and said, this is way too hard, I'm out of here. I'm going to go back to, horror games. But, so then I let it sit on my shelf for probably about 6 months, and then I went back to it, got good, and absolutely fell in love with it. I probably played Bloodborne for about a month or so, and then I bought DS1 and have never stopped playing the franchise since. Steve Seuling asks, by the way, I'm sorry for absolutely butchering your name because I'm sure I did. Yes, what rings you got? I imagine he means these ones on my fingers and not game-related rings. So sorry if you meant game-related rings. My bad. But, yeah, my rings, so I have 5. I don't typically wear all of them at the same time, but I do have 5 different rings that I wear, 1 to 3 of usually at a time. It's pretty rare that I'll go with all 5, but sometimes I will. So, let's see, let's start from right to left. So, from my right, first one is a ram skull. It's pretty sweet. Nothing really to it, it's just it looked cool and very metal, so I bought it. There's not really a story behind that one or anything like that. Next up is just kind of an interesting looking ring that also has Psalm 23 on it. The whole Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want, so on and so forth. It has an abridged version on the ring because the verse is actually too long really to put on a ring unless you wanted to get really ridiculous with the length of it, but I just thought it was cool. It's a verse that I've always liked, so kept, so got that. Next up is a Tiger Eye Stone, I think. Tiger Eye Stone ring. It's a dragon eye ring. So it's supposed to look like a dragon's eye. It's got some wicked scales and shit as a motif going on, like the sides and whatnot. And it says unleash the spirit on the inside. It's just something that's really neat. My wife bought it for me. I forget when, if it was for a birthday or Christmas or something like that, but the wife bought it for me because she thought it looked really cool, and I also thought it looked really cool, so I wear it. Next up, we have my wedding ring, which my wife and I both got our wedding rings from the Renaissance Fair, which, for anyone who doesn't know what that is, it's like a halfway between like a carnival sort of thing, like a carnival vibe, and just sort of a fair, hence the name Renaissance Fair. But I don't know how widespread that is or how widespread the knowledge is on it, but basically it's kind of like a medieval themed fair. So they have not like legitimate medieval food, but pseudo medieval food, like giant ass turkey legs, and you eat soup out of a bread bowl. It's pretty delicious. They also have like bands that are medieval themed, come and play, you know, live music, and there's games or rides or whatever else. So I'm not really much of a public activities person, but I've gone with the wife a couple times. And one time when we went there while we were engaged, we happened to run into a merchant who made custom jewelry that was influenced by medieval themes and also like Gaelic influences. So we spotted these rings. This, I only have a picture of mine. I don't have hers with me, but we spotted these and just decided those were going to be ours, so they were. And last but not least, I don't really have much to say about this ring. You can probably tell what it is. So there's that. That's part of my life as well. Next up, we have the Landman Christopher Land, who asks, will you leave your wife, immigrate to Sweden, and marry Landman? So that's a multi-stepped question, the answers to which are no, maybe, and probably not. No, I won't leave my wife. We might immigrate to Sweden, though, and probably won't marry you, Landman. Sorry, but I'm kind of a one spouse type of guy, not really into polygamy. But yeah, we might immigrate to Sweden. That's actually a possibility. I don't think it's likely, but it's possible. We've talked about where we want to end up living, and we've got a couple of ideas within the United States, but additionally we have a couple of other countries in mind that we might want to move to at some point. I mean, at this point, neither of us have actually visited places outside the country, so we needed to do that first, you know, do the proper research and, you know, spend some time in whatever country or countries we were thinking about to actually see if we wanted to make it a permanent switch. But we've talked about a few countries, and Sweden's not far from several that we've talked about, so it's quite possible. Nikki asks, who's got the most glorious beard? Sad Santa Gale, Papanito, or you? I would say me because mine's real. Phantom Sia. Hopefully it's Sia and not Saya. Phantom Sia, meme lord. Who is also a streamer who I've yet to check out because I'm a douchebag. And not really because I'm a douchebag, mostly because of timing. But also a streamer, so check him out. I haven't seen him, so I can't actually say he's awesome, but I'm sure he is. I also have a question. Phantom Sia says, memeing aside, what's your opinion on Dex builds? Okay, I won't meme. I promise I will not be meming. Dex builds, for me, it depends on the game a little bit, but they are quite viable. It depends. I think specifically recently Dex builds have become even more memey because in DS3, you know, with the way that Poison Hyper Armor works, Dex is kind of not great at all. It's viable. You know, you can make it work, but it's kind of inferior in most ways. At least for invasions. For dual purposes, it's not as worthless. I mean, the Pontiff Knight Curved Sword is, you know, one of the most used weapons by tryhards and duelists. So, you know, there you go. There's your answer from the, you know, at least the tryhard side of the community. But for me personally, I don't love Dex in DS3, although I do have a Dex character and I do enjoy invading with her. So, I mean, it's not bad. It's just not the best. But in other games, I would say like in DS1 or DS Remastered, for example, Dex is actually superior to Strength, in my opinion. So, you know, for me, it depends on the game, but I like Dex just fine. And last but not least, from Skill Hunt, we have a few questions. First one, what is your favorite boss in each series and why? In each series, not each game. So I'm going to say it's Demon Souls, Dark Souls, Bloodborne. Favorite boss. Demon Souls I haven't played, so I can't speak to that, sadly. I should really play me some Demon Souls. But Dark Souls, favorite boss would have to be... I'm thinking, I promise. I think my favorite boss in Dark Souls has to be Artorias. Artorias! Yeah, I think I'm going to settle with Artorias. The music is outstanding. The lore is amazing. The fact that they built this character up, you know, for a pretty large portion of the game. If you play the DLC last anyway, or close to last, they build up this character and the lore about this character for a pretty large portion of the game. And then to find out that that is what he is, you know, when you fight him as a boss in the DLC, it's just great. The lore is outstanding. The music is great. The actual fight is phenomenal. It's kind of the pinnacle to me of what FromSoft aims to do with boss battles, in that it's difficult. And if you're snickering and saying get good scrub, you know, sorry, I don't always use, you know, 3 phantoms with me when I fight him and gank him to, you know, no end. Because with phantoms he's pretty easy. But if you try to solo Artorias, he is a very difficult boss. But he's also a very fair boss, and, you know, if you're getting your ass handed to you, it's because you're making stupid mistakes. So I think he's a really good example of what a FromSoft boss should be, and then also the music and the lore and everything else, and the fact that it's just a really great fight, that really helps. Bloodborne is hard for me because, being my first From Software game, I am very fanboyish about Bloodborne. It's kind of a thing, and there's a lot of bosses in that game that are, in my opinion, outstanding beyond belief. If I had to narrow it to 2, I can narrow it to 2. I don't think I can pick 1, but if I had to narrow it to 2, it'd be between Lady Maria of the Astral Clock Tower and Ludwig the Accursed. Lady Maria, because 1, it's an amazing fight, it's a lot of fun. 2, the music is phenomenal. I'm really big on music, in case you can't tell. Her music is phenomenal, and the lore around her character and everything is just awesome. And actually, same reasons for Ludwig. The boss is outstanding in terms of the actual fight. He has beautiful, beautiful music. The way they brought in the Holy Moonlight Sword is just gorgeous, and the lore is fantastic as well, because Ludwig is kind of like Bloodborne's Artorias in a lot of ways. You know, it's this character that, again, through the lore and stuff, they've built up, you know, so much, and then to see that that's what he is, and have to fight that it's incredible. It's really just awesome. So yeah, it'd be one of those 2 for sure. Worst boss, by the way, by far, is Queen Yharnam, because boring as hell. Anywho, that was only the first question. So Skill Hunt also asks, how would you rank the Souls series, including Bloodborne? So, again, I haven't played Demon Souls, so I can't put that on my ranking list, but I would say for me, I think first place is tied, honestly, between DS1 and Bloodborne. It's really hard for me to pick between the 2 of them, because they're so different thematically, and they came from slightly different eras as far as like how much money was put behind them and graphics and stuff. So I mean, Bloodborne looks a lot better, it's a lot more polished, but also Dark Souls 1 is, you know, the earliest that I've played, and, you know, still so masterfully constructed that it's, you know, it's kind of hard to ignore. So I think if a gun was to my head, I'd probably say Bloodborne is my favorite, and then Dark Souls 1, but really they're pretty much tied. After that, it's hard to say, honestly, also between DS2 and DS3. I've been recently replaying Dark Souls 2, which I never hated on Dark Souls 2 to begin with. I did say, and I have said multiple times, that I think it's the lesser entry in the series, but I've always enjoyed Dark Souls 2 as well. But I'm replaying it now, and yeah, it might be better than DS3, I'm sorry. It might be. You know, it gets shit on partially for level design because it doesn't have that excellent interconnectivity that DS1 had. DS3 doesn't have that either, and it's incredibly linear, whereas DS2 is super open. So they captured at least that part of the level design, and the levels themselves are pretty damn cool. Some of the combat is not as great, but I don't know. At the same time, there's something really charming about it. So it's kind of hard it's kind of like DS1 and Bloodborne are like neck and neck for first, and then DS2 and DS3 are like neck and neck for spots 3 and 4. But again, gun to the head scenario right now, I think I'd say Bloodborne is the top, then DS1, then DS2, then DS3. I think that's where I'd go with a gun to my head. And not to say that DS3 is garbage or anything like that. I love all of the games, so take it for what you will. I'm not saying any of them are bad, and even if I say something about a game is bad, it doesn't mean that I don't like it. I mean, DS1, for instance, there's plenty of complaints to be had, such as Demon Rooms and Lost Izalith completely not being finished ever. So, I can complain about things and still enjoy them quite a bit. And let's see, finally from Skill Hunt, well, he lied because there's more to it, but finally, favorite builds to use in any of the games. I like to use, honestly, all builds, at least once or twice. I think it's fun to just play the game with different strategies and different builds, so kind of all of them. But typically my first build that I will ever make is a sword and board sort of tanky character. I usually use larger, more damaging strength weapons with at least a medium shield, most likely a great shield, and that's for PvE. My first characters are never PvP optimized. They're always just PvE machines, just so I can enjoy the game. And then maybe I'll try to PvP with them at some point if I have enough viable equipment that they can use, but I don't even think about it on first character, so that's usually my go-to build. Now, really, last from Skill Hunt, he also says he's curious about my opinions on this year's E3 and what games to look forward to. I've been actually staying out of a lot of E3 news. I've just been seeing some updates on Twitter, but I have personally kind of just been hanging back. I like to wait until E3's over before I usually check into too much stuff or get too hyped or comment too much on things. I will say that finally having some concrete information on the Resident Evil 2 remake is mega hype. I'm really excited about that. Been waiting for that for a long fucking time. Resident Evil 2 is my favorite Resident Evil game by far. Like, it's not even a contest. All Resident Evil 2 is up here somewhere, and the rest of the series is like over here. It's not even close. And not that I don't like the rest of the series, I do, but just Resident Evil 2 is just the tippy top of that game series, in my opinion. So I've been waiting for a remake of 2 for a long time, and I'm really hyped that that's coming. Last of Us 2, it's one of those things where I love The Last of Us. I thought it was outstanding in just about every way. But I really feel like The Last of Us was like a very self-contained story. And so making a Last of Us 2, when I heard that they were doing it first, when it first got announced, I thought it sounded like a blatant just cash grab. Sony just saying, hey, we want more money, make another one. I don't know if it has the artistic passion that Last of Us had. I hope it does. And I've seen some stuff from the creators that they had some ideas for other games, maybe, if they chose to work on them. So it might be good. I hope it's good. I'm definitely going to buy it. And I hope it's good, but we'll see. What else do I know about that's been shown at E3? Kingdom Hearts 3, I think. I'm kind of over Kingdom Hearts 3 because, we've been waiting for that for, a decade? So I'm kind of over it, but when it comes out, I'll buy it and I'll play it and I'll probably love it. But it's just... they made us wait too damn long. Now I'm kind of... I don't trust any news ever on it. I'm just like, okay, yeah, I'll see you on release day. All of the Neo sequels, including, I think there was actually a Neo sequel announced, right? And then all the other Japanese games, like Shadows Die Twice, and I forget the name of the other one. There was another one I think that Sony showed. I'll check them out. I'm not super hyped for any of them, but I will check out all of them. Even Shadows Die Twice, I'm like, looks like Neo, but dark. It looks to me like Miyazaki saw Neo, walked into the next boardroom and said, guys, hold my beer. I can do this better. And who knows, maybe he can, maybe he can't. But it just looks like everybody's trying to make Neo now. So we'll see. I don't know. I don't think that I'll buy more than one of those, groupings of games, but we'll see. We'll see how it goes. I don't know too much about them. And then Death Stranding. Death Stranding had had some more content. I'm really hyped for that game. One of the greatest blows that I've ever taken in my life is PT having been canceled. A Kojima directed, or Kojima made, Guillermo del Toro directed Silent Hill game. That was going to be my life. That game was. So the cancellation of that was a mighty blow, and I've been really looking forward to what Kojima was going to do next, because I got the feeling that he wanted to make something scary. You know, he wanted to make a horror game. So even without the Silent Hill IP, I thought, you know, Death Stranding would have some horror elements at least, and it does appear to. Not that it's, you know, necessarily going to be a horror game, but it, you know, it's going to have some frightening elements, to be sure. So I'm really hyped for that one. And yeah, that's all I can think of. There's probably more. And E3's not over yet by the time this video goes up, so I know there's going to be more by the time, you know, you're watching this. There'll definitely be more that I'll be hyped for, but that's all that comes to the top of my mind. So that's that. All right, and if you actually stuck with me through all that, thank you so much. You are a cool cat. Hope you enjoyed. I know I had some fun answering questions from y'all. So thanks so much for watching, and of course, I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful day as always. See you guys next time.